Good day, students, MAE201M students. My name is Gabriel Mpuhti. I'm here to present to you the module Pre-Algebra and Algebra in Intermediate and Senior Mathematics, focusing on the exam preparation. Okay. Um, this module is offered to students who are doing the B.Ed program or who are aspirant teachers to teach mathematics in the intermediate and senior phases. Now, um, in this presentation, I will try to summarize as far as I can the themes that will be covered in the exam paper, questions on content, that the nature of the questions on content, and also the assessment or examples. Most of the items that I will talk about, you will actually find them in your tutorial letter 541, that is the study guide, and also assignment questions. If you have done your assignments very well and honestly, you will have um, prepared for the examinations. And just to talk about other few things, your exam will be online. In other words, you will download your exam paper, write it for 3 hours, and then upload it again. What I'll be presenting today, I will also send as tutorial letter 102, which will also be covering the processes of how to download your paper on exam and how to upload it, and explaining other uh, operational things that you need to be aware of. Okay, now in this module of MAE201M, basically we offer or we are attending to the teachers' understanding of the content that they're going to teach and also how to teach it. The focus it's more on the aspirant teacher having to not just know how to find the answers, but to also understand those processes conceptually in such a way that they will be, at the end of the day, be able to explain to their students. So most of the questions and the way we deliver, the module it covers, it's part methodology of teaching that particular content in mathematics, but also touching on the aspects of how to teach it. So going straight into the themes that will be covered in the exam paper. We'll be looking at developing algebraic reasoning and concepts, problem solving, and doing mathematics. So if you look at your tutorial letter 541, the way we have unpacked, the content there, it's usually following those things. Um, we develop algebraic reasoning and concepts in unit 1 and 2 and 3. In fact, it goes across all the learning units, and we do have problem solving activities that are in there, and also inherent. It's an understanding of doing mathematics. And what also it's implied within what we do is thinking mathematically. The way we answer questions or we show how to approach certain questions is also a reflection in terms of how thinking mathematically presents. And thinking mathematically actually starts from the foundation phase and goes throughout and being utilized in the high school. So it's quite important that you practice or develop the habit of thinking mathematically at earlier stages. And so you being the teachers or prospective teachers of the primary, or intermediate and senior phase, you should be well versed in um, or have developed the habits of thinking mathematically and not just try to rush to solve the problem and find answers. So the exam paper is informed by um, these themes. Now, the specific topics that the question paper will cover, it's basically mathematical modeling, algebraic expressions, functions and graphs, solving equations, quadratic and linear, and also applications. If you know your tutorial letter 501, you will actually see this breathing throughout all the learning units. You engage with the mathematical modeling from learning unit 2 up to the last learning unit 5, where functions are also presented as models and the likes. And so it is not something foreign. As I reiterate that if you have done your tutorial or read your tutorial letter 501, you should be well prepared for this exam. And even the way we have set your assignment questions, we have tried to assist you to be able to cover, as you do the assignment, all the learning units, as some of the questions are taken direct from your tutorial letter 501 and others are added. So it will be mathematical modeling, algebraic expressions, functions, and graphs. And maybe let me just also highlight this. It's just presenting this, in a global perspective in terms of exam preparations. If students will want me to look into specific questions, you have my email address, and I'll also post it at the end of the slides so that um, you can email me, or even as a group, maybe we can have also an interactive session either through mathematics teams, um, Microsoft Teams. Yeah, sorry, not mathematics. And then we can, deal with that. But it will be nice if it is groups of students, and if you have also questions from past exam papers, and that you can actually do that as a group. Otherwise, I will attend to questions that you do pose on my UNISA on discussion forums, but I prefer or recommend that you email me specific questions regarding the content or past papers that I have to respond to. Okay, that the mathematics content that is covered. So some of the questions in the question paper, um, in fact, for this module, you must be competent in and be well conversant with the following: the use of letters to represent numbers. You must be able to write algebraic expressions to represent mathematical information. You must be able to expand brackets. Also taking care when there are negative signs, because sometimes when students expand brackets, they forget that you still have to multiply the signs. negative times negative actually is positive, but negative times positive or positive times negative is negative. So when you expand the two binomials, you find that if the signs are not the same, students, when they simplify, they forget that they need to take care of that, and that is where they lose marks in most cases, because at the end of the day, they get the incorrect expressions. Now you must be able to factorize quadratic expressions and given trinomial, expressions where the dominant term is of the power of 2, and you need to be able to solve linear and quadratic equations by factorization and or using inverse operations. Now, you also need to be careful. Sometimes students may lose marks when they say factorize a trinomial, a quadratic expression. Students will factorize and then in the end equate um, the factorized equation to zero, expression to zero. That changes the whole thing. It is no longer just a factorization of an expression. Now you are solving, an equation. Immediately when you equate it to zero or something, then it becomes an equation. So it's quite important, and this is addressed particularly in Learning Unit 4 and Learning Unit 3, factorization of expressions and quadratic, and in Learning Unit 4 is quadratic equations. Now, you need to be able to demonstrate also how functions can be represented. We know that functions can be represented by either a table, a straight line, or a graph. And if yes, we call it a graph, or an equation, or even language. So you need to be well conversant with that and also be able to utilize that. And also you need to demonstrate how function concept can be developed in the classroom. For an example, in Learning Unit 5, we do use a contextual question there, and also there are other themes that are addressed there that helps you to be able to develop um, the concept of functions in the classroom. You, you must be able to set up your equations and use them to solve weighted problems. Um, this is also quite important, and this cut across, you know, uh, learning units in your module. So it's usually what we call word problems. So it's quite vital that you are able to do that. And it is also important that you are well clued up with your mensuration. For an example, finding using formulas for volumes and surface areas of cuboid, e.g. a box or spheres, or how to find the perimeter of a rectangle or any other figure, or understanding those concepts and being able to use them, because other word problems actually are related or are expressed, in terms of asking you to find um, an expression that calculates the area of a certain, which results in a quadratic expression where if you have to solve to find the dimensions of a particular um, rectangle. So this is basically what I intended with this presentation, just to give you an orientation into what your exam will be covering. And as to the specifics, I'm still saying that I'm available. You can ask me questions either by email, or you can as a group of students if you want us to engage interactively, either through Teams or Zoom. We can arrange that, and so that I can demonstrate or answer certain questions. But you are also welcome to send me those questions where I can answer and give them back. So your exam paper actually will be 3 hours, and it's some kind of an open book test. But I would like to caution you and warn you that please do not copy things verbatim from the study guide without you actually reflecting your thinking in the whole thing. You must um, reference what you have copied somewhere, and you must be able to explain it and be able to put it in your own words. Please do not Google answers. We are able to see if students have Googled, an answer in a way. Yes, we don't have control in terms of preventing, but you to be doing that. But please, one encourages you strongly that you try to think um, and write what you have thought that is actual, honest, and legal. But when you Google, is like asking someone to solve a problem for you, and it's illegal. Okay, so as I have explained, that if you have questions, please do email them to me regarding this. But I am going to send you this tutorial, this as tutorial letter 102, which explains what your exam entails and the likes, and you will be able to ask those questions. And if you want me to explain certain aspects that I've covered, and also reference to the tutorial letter 501, I'll be happy to do so when you provide such. But as I've explained, your tutorial letter 101, your assignments, if you have done your assignment 2, um, then you should not, um, and also have done some practice with uh, past papers, even though the content that will be asked will be different, and the nature of the question paper might be different, since this will be now an open, kind of an open book test exam. The past papers were venue based, and so your exam that will be writing in 2020 will be actually non-venue based. So the questioning will be will be different, not slightly, but it might be different. It will require you to really show your understanding of your content, and also be able to articulate your thinking, which that will be a demonstration also of how you will explain it to your, those concepts to your learners. So this is the end of my slideshow. Like to wish you well, and I hope we will engage further. There is my address, which you will find also in your tutorial letter 101. And also you can post things on my UNISA um, on my unit's discussion side, but I I would like to reiterate, please email your questions, and I do try by all means to respond to the questions or to the email sent, all of them. Thank you for listening to me.